Welcome traders. In this video we're going to go over collecting some statistics from the cumulative delta classification strategy, and this is something that I've never done a video on before and is kind of important because you're going to need to be able to do this in order to understand where to set a target and where to set a stop. So what I've done is I've gone back to my original chart over here, and I'm going to take 6 different data points. So if we look at our very first trade from Thursday of last week, the first data point I'm going to take is that the type of the trade that we were showing, and in this case it's a strong trend. So I've gone and I put strong trend there, and then it was a long trade. We got 24 ticks out of that, and then I'm going to record the KP2, KP3, and the ratio from down here, which led into that trade. Now there may be more information that you would like to see, and if you have some justification for collecting that data, feel free when you're doing your own spreadsheet. And what I would also suggest you do is you collect more data than what I'm going to be doing in this example. In this example, I'm just trying to give you an idea of how you go about this task. I'm not actually building a strategy with this, and this is important. And it's also important to realize the disclaimer that the past performance that we're going to be looking at here is not necessarily indicative of future results. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and collect the statistics, and then we'll begin working with the worksheet. One of the other things that I'm going to do with this is if I had missed a trade, I'm going to go ahead and add that to our official statistics here. And as you can see from right here, if you remember from the video, there was 2 examples of exactly what is occurring here, that we are marking an accumulation here. This accumulation had a ratio of 99, and then it was being followed by a second accumulation of a negative 114 on an exhaustion pattern, which we have right here. As you remember, there was 2 exact circumstances where that occurred, so I went ahead and added this as a trade that we would look at also. But then I realized that we needed another data point, and if you remember from the first video, I made a point about taking a trend trade after an exhaustion. So that is another data point that I think should be tracked, and so I went ahead and created another column for that. And our Excel worksheet keeps expanding because I realized that we need to identify if we had an accumulation or a distribution. So I went ahead and added that to this trend trade statistic here. Okay, I have now gone and put those 2 days worth of trades into an Excel worksheet. And while I was doing that, I realized that there was another data point that I wanted to collect. And that was a thought that I had towards the end of the video on the strategy, and that was if we held our position rather than just moving our stop to break even, would we hit the target? And that's what this column is representing. Some we do, some we don't, but we need to look at this statistically to see if it makes sense to do that. And we also need to have a bigger statistical database in order to work on. Remember, this is only encompassing 2 days, and it's only something to get you started. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to sort this, and the first sort that I'm going to do is going to be by the type of the trade. Always when you sort, make sure you expand the selection so that the columns all stay lined up. And now here we have our sorted trades, and you can see the trend trade was probably the most common of the trades. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to give each one of these things their own sheet with inside of this worksheet. So I'm going to come and rename sheet 1. I'll give it I'll call that all. Sheet 2, broken reversal. Sheet 3, exhaustion. Sheet 4 is trend. Sheet 5 is strong trend. Sheet 6 is reversal. Okay, now that that is done, what I want to do is I want to copy and paste here. And I'm going to include the strong trend reversal and just put that in with the strong trends. Okay, so now we can see that we have a worksheet for each one of our types of trades, so that later when we have more data we can break these down and see if there's any relevant statistics to just one pattern in and of itself. And I would expect you would see different characteristics in the exhaustion trade and different characteristics in the trend trade. So that's basically what we've done so far. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to sort for the result. And we have a total of 68 trades that were logged. When I went back through some of these, I may have taken some off and put some on from the video that I did a few days ago based upon the rules that I want to go by. So I'm now looking at 68 trades instead of 69 from the day before. So I want to sort this now by the result. Again, expand the selection. And the number that we're looking for at the beginning is we want to see a number of 15 or higher. But we still don't know that 15 is a magic number. So that's what we're going to try to find out here. When we roll down, we see that we have 60 winning trades and 8 losses. So remember, this win right here on line 61, that is the 60th trade because line 1 encompasses the title up here. So what I'm going to do now to make this even easier to work with is I'm going to create another sheet over here, and I'm going to call that the win sheet. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my work on this sheet right here rather than doing work on the main sheet. So now it's a matter of doing a little math. I'm going to put 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm going to go ahead and create a 11 point spread here, and the numbers 9 through 20 reflect how many wins we would have had with a 9 tick profit target. So if we're going to start out with 60 wins, we're going to have 60 that all got 9 ticks. We're going to have 58 that got at least 10 ticks. We're going to have 54 that got 11 ticks. We're going to have 48 that got 12. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done the numbers. So there would have been 60 trades that got 9, and then I went and subtracted out the number for each one of these. We'd end up with 19 trades that got at least 20 ticks. So now what we want to do is we want to multiply these two and get a result. Okay, I had a small error in the first video on this subject, so I'm coming back in to take out the part where I had the error and correct it. And the mistake I did in the first video is that I had the zigzag in this column here, and I created the results over here. What I forgot to do though is I forgot to take out the 5 ticks that are necessary to confirm the order flow. So when we have a 9 tick zigzag, that's going to give us a profit target of 4, and then that multiplied by the 60 wins would give us 240 ticks. So by doing the proper analysis, we again find that our sweet spot is again between 13 and 15 ticks, and we would have actually earned the most money at 15, which was my original guess before I did any of these answers, and that would be about $5,000. Now the other thing that we should probably also be doing is we should also be going back, testing the one thing we can test that would give us a better idea of what we were doing, and that was the zigzag on the original chart. And we already have our areas that we were going to be making trades. So if we change the zigzag and we change up the Bloodhound template just a little, we can then pretty rapidly test and see the difference in whether the zigzag that we had set to 8 is a better idea, or if the zigzag set to 10 would be a better idea. Now the one other thing we should be doing is we should be taking this target and doing that for all of the other patterns. Doing the same thing with the exhaustion pattern and seeing if there is an optimal number for each type of trade. And the reason I say this is an exhaustion pattern is a reversal pattern, so when it works we generally get more points out of it. That may not be true for a trend trade. Each of these trades have their own characteristics, so we should treat each one as something different. This computation here is just to give you an overall idea for the system and not necessarily any tweak that you would have done for that. But the most important thing to stress here is that these 2 days worth of data isn't a sufficient amount of information in order to design a trading plan. We would need a month or two of data, and that is a lot of work, but if you want to prove that your system works, that's the work that needs to be done, and this is how you go about getting there. The only other thing that there would be to study is we should also study where our losses are, and that would be done on, again, a separate worksheet. So I hope this has helped you get some kind of basic idea about how we go about doing this, and hopefully it will get you started on collecting these numbers, I strongly suggest that you upgrade to the Bloodhound version because that makes identifying these trades so much simpler than if you did not have it. Also, come execution time, if you have Blackbird, you can let Blackbird automatically make the trade for you, and that's going to be a huge advantage. Some of you may be asking the question, well, why haven't you gone and executed this strategy yet using Blackbird? And that would be a good question. Right now there's a very small bug in Blackbird that affects my order flow. It's not a bug in Bloodhound. As you can see, that Bloodhound is working normally, and it's something that will probably be taken care of within the next week or two. So if you're watching this video and it is sometime around August 14th, then you know that that's the reason that I can't do it right now. As soon as I have a next beta release and the beta release is working with my order flow, I will be demonstrating live trades using Blackbird at that time and then adding them to that web page. What's also very important to note is that I now have a new tab up here in the menu, and I call the tab the Trading Strategy tab. And you can come to this page and get a little bit of information about it. And I've already created the Cumulative Delta Classification Strategy tab here, which is basically everything that you need to know about executing this as a trade. I'm going to be adding this video that I've just created down here, and that way you're going to have everything in one place. So it'll be a good resource for you. And I'm going to do this with the other 3 or 4 strategies that I've created so that there's just one place that you need to look to get all of your information on any particular trading strategy. So again, you can find that at the top menu and then come down here and come to the Cumulative Delta Classification Strategy page, which is already active. And if you haven't already done so, again, very important that you subscribe here to sign up for the blog notifications so that you know when a new video has been posted. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. And if you should have any questions, be sure to give me a call. Thanks. Bye.